Hey guys, it's Will from EDM Tips, and today I want to share with you my top 10 VST audio plugins for 2020. Now some of them are free and some of them are premium, and I'm also going to be sharing with you the 4 reasons why investing in some third-party premium plugins is a good idea. So I made a video a few months ago about the Black Friday plugin deals that were available, which you can check out here. And today I'm going to share with you those 10 that I recommend you get in 2020. Now firstly, I would say that you can get to about 80 to 90% of a truly professional sound using just the stock plugins within your digital audio workstation. All of them have got really good stock plugins. But the 4 reasons I mentioned why you might want to consider investing in some third-party plugins are these. 1. Some of them simply sound better. This is especially true when it comes to limiters, so I'm going to share with you 2 limiters that you could get that are going to be better than the stock limiter that you currently have in your DAW. The second reason is, when it comes to third-party synths and samplers, there are loads of different sample packs and preset packs that are being released all the time. So if you've got something like Synth or Serum, you can just go onto somewhere like Splice or ADSR Sounds and you can download new preset packs, and that's really helpful. Third is the support for third-party plugins is usually really good because that's the only thing they're focusing on. These teams are just trying to improve these plugins so they've got good support and they've got constant updates. And the 4th reason is, it's sometimes just fun. You know, you get a new plugin, you play around with some of the presets, and suddenly you're inspired to start a new track. My second caveat is that knowing how to use your plugins is so much more important than getting the next new plugin. So whichever plugins you have, whichever plugins you get today, make sure that you kind of learn them inside out and you can get some really incredible results from simple plugins. You can download my free mixing guide below this video for free, and if you want tips on music production each and every week, hit subscribe and the notification bell. Right, let's do this. Okay, so we're going to be looking at these plugins on my brand new remix of Dua Lipa's new track Physical. The first plugin of my 10 is a third-party synth. I love Synth, I love Serum, but there are others available. I know Omnisphere is really good, Spire is really good as well, but let's have a look at why they're so good. Okay, so here we've got a bass sound and I'm using Synth. So Synth is a subtractive synthesizer, and with the newer version you can actually resize it, which is really cool. It's kind of essential nowadays with these massive screens that we've got. So it's great that you can rescale it. Again, as I said, Serum's a really good alternative. I've got an instance of Serum here. Again, it works in a similar way, although Serum is a wavetable synth, so you can actually load in different waves which can modulate each other, which is pretty cool. I like Serum. I've used Synth for longer, but they're both really good choices for music production. So you've got all the filter controls, you've got ADSR here as well, so that's definitely worth investing in. In a third-party synth like Serum or Synth. And you've got the different effects as well. So my second essential plugin for 2020 is the Oxford Inflator. So let's get a bit of that on the go. Don't have any on there at the moment, so I'm going to add this to, let's see, we've got my flute sound. Let's do it there. So what the Oxford Inflator is kind of like a saturator and an exciter all kind of built into one, and what it does is really kind of brings out the high energy. So this is, we'll bypass it so you can hear the difference. It's quite subtle. But it's a great way to actually increase perceived volume without actually making the peak levels go higher. And this is an absolute beauty, this Oxford Inflator. I'm not affiliated with them or any of these plugin providers actually, so they're just my honest opinions. This is something I use on every single track. It's an absolute beauty. It's a bit expensive. I think it's like $130 or something like that, but if you use it on every track, it's definitely worth it. So number 2, the Oxford Inflator. Okay, number 3, this is a free plugin and this is really cool. So if you've got the kick and bass bus, which is where you put the kick and the bass together, you've got this tool that I love. It's called the Bark of Dog, and it kind of does the same thing as the Waves Renaissance bass, but this is free. and I've found this out after I bought Renaissance Bass, so don't bother buying that if you can buy this. But basically what it does, you can boost sub-harmonics. So if we listen to my kick and the bass just on their own, you'll need good headphones or monitors to do this really. What Bark of Dog does is allows you to choose the fundamental frequency, which is like the main frequency of your track or your bass and kick, and then you can boost it and it will add sub-harmonics. So this is with nothing on. So you can hear it really rounds out the bass line. So this is off, really weak, and this is on. Off, on. So that's number 3. Okay, so the next one is not really essential because it's just an EQ, but it is much easier to use than the stock EQs that you get with Ableton at least. I know you get a good one with Logic X, but this is the FabFilter ProQ3, and let's have a look at it. So again, you can resize it. It's not like completely draggable, but it's pretty cool. Like you can resize it a bit. And let's have a look at what it does. So I've got it on the vocals here, and you can see there's a really good visual display, which is really helpful to see which frequencies are being hit. Okay, we've got some vocals coming in, so we'll see it in action again. But the great thing about this is it's much more powerful than the EQ that comes with Ableton. So you can use dynamic EQ, and that is basically where you can send one signal to this to attenuate the EQ dynamically. So if you've got a vocal on one channel and you've got a synth on the other, and you want the synth, certain frequencies of the synth to duck certain frequencies of the EQ, you can do that with the Pro Q3. You can also preview the band by holding this preview button, which allows you to actually hear which band you're working on. So if you were to just solo a band here, you could just hold it down to preview, which is pretty cool. And you can also, choose a node and then do either stereo, or you can send it to mid-side processing as well, which is really, really useful and essential for mastering. So the FabFilter ProQ3, yes, I know it's not actually made in 2020, and maybe the guys will bring out the ProQ4 this year, but it's such a good EQ. Everyone I know uses it. It's fantastic. So the next plugin that I use all the time that I recommend for 2020 is by FabFilter again, and it's the ProL2, because you remember at the beginning I said that limiters is where a lot of stock plugins kind of fall down. They don't sound quite as good. You can't get as much volume out of the limiter that comes with Ableton, for instance, but the ProL2 by FabFilter is a damn good limiter as well. You've got these different styles that you can choose. So if it's starting to sound a bit distorting, all right, I'm just going to turn the volume down because we've got the limiter on, so it's going to be really loud. Hopefully the audio won't crackle and whatnot. Okay, it's struggling a bit, but basically you can choose these different modes like transparent or punchy, and if it starts to distort, you can choose a different one, and quite often that will actually distort less, and that's quite useful to get the maximum volume from it. Again, you've got a nice display so you can see how much gain reduction is happening. So yeah, ProL2, it's really good, has a really nice clean, transparent sound as a limiter, although I do have another limiter that I'm going to recommend to you in this list of 10 as well, so we'll get to that very shortly. Okay, the next plugin on my list, this is an absolute go-to reverb plugin. You can use the reverb plugins that come with FL Studio, Logic X or Ableton, they're absolutely fine, but if you are going to invest in a third-party plugin, if you have one reverb that you could invest in, I would recommend the Valhalla Room. It's I can't remember how much it is, it's maybe $50, something like that, but again, it's a really nice simple layout. It's got a really nice clean crisp sound, really transparent sound, It's very easy to control as well. Let's see, we've got one here on the vocals. So let's have a quick listen. You can totally resize it as you want. I love the layout because it's kind of matches Ableton as well in some ways, which is cool. You got loads of nice presets too. I've already got another one on, that's why it sounds weird. But yeah, loads of good presets. So yeah, if you are going to invest in a reverb, I recommend the Valhalla Room. Again, it's used by loads of producers I know, and it's properly good. Okay, next. So I mentioned the ProL2 by FabFilter, and that is a really good limiter. But if you want one pack that has lots of mastering stuff in, including a really decent limiter, I've got to say the Isotope Ozone mastering pack. Let's see, where is it? We got Isotope. They've just brought out 9 last year, which is pretty cool. But if you've got 8, it might not be worth upgrading to 9. I mean, 8's really good as well. But if you look at the Ozone 9 pack, which is just opening up at the moment, and I'd only use this on the mastering channel. So again, there are loads of good tools, and I've actually done a video on how to use this, which you can link to there, but it's got a good limiter in it as well. This vintage limiter allows you to see the true peak, add some character. I use it sometimes. Again, I kind of use the FabFilter ProL2 more, but if you have got to choose one or the other, you get a lot more in this package in Ozone. So yeah, that's a great pack for 2020. That is going to see you really good in your mastering. Okay guys, so number 8 in my list of my top 10 plugins for 2020, and this is the Soundtoys Decapitator. This is a saturation and distortion unit. You can't resize it, it doesn't really matter because there aren't that many controls on it, but it's a very cool sound for adding fatness and volume to your sounds. I use this on a lot of things. So this is what the Decapitator does, and you can choose different modes which are suitable for different things as well. Like some are good for vocals, some's good for bass and for kick. But yeah, it's basically a really good saturation and distortion unit, so that's worth investing in. In fact, the whole Soundtoys pack, you've got little Alter Boy, you've got the Echo Boy. Yeah, it's basically a really good pack, the Soundtoys bundle. The next plugin that I recommend for 2020 is either the LFO tool by Extra Records and Steve Duda, or Nicky Romero's Kickstart. They do similar things, you've probably seen them. They just are volume controls basically, and you can duck the sound like a sidechain compressor from the kick, but you've got a lot more control and accuracy. The LFO tool you can totally resize as well, so you can get super accurate on the shape of the curve. This is kind of essential, either the LFO tool or Nicky Romero Kickstart. I haven't used Kickstart much. I always use LFO tool. Great tool, does cost some money, but the last tool, number 10, is completely free. Now this is for you guys that like mastering your own music, or you might master other music. It is the Julian Loudness Meter 2. And this is where you can measure the LUFS volume of your mix or your master. You don't need to buy the Pro version. I've got the Pro version, but you don't need it. And yeah, you can just basically, let's see. I mean, I've messed up the mix now because I've been playing with stuff. So I've got to turn it on. And you'll see it measures the LUFS value. Integrated is the one that you really need, and then it measures the true peak value as well. If you want me to do a video on LUFS levels and how to read that, let me know. Put LUFS for some reason in the comments below, and then I'll make a video specifically about LUFS levels and what they mean to you. But there you have it guys, they are my top 10 plugins for 2020. If you have to get just a couple of them, I would say that a third-party synth is a really good investment. A good limiter is a really good investment, and that free LUFS meter, Bark of Dog, it's free as well. They're the ones that I'd spend money on first if I had a limited budget. So, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends and subscribe to my channel. And until next time, cheers and happy producing.